Maybe I can better do that.
Honey is
Again, then I will show you this.
think about it. Honey comes directly from a bee's stomach. It is regurgitated something like 4 times and spit out around something like 50 times. Then we also come to the reason that bees are disappearing. You bring up because beekeepers take 100% of all the honey today and replace it with high fructose corn syrup. So, no wonder if you ask me that bees are disappearing. Also, honey is most likely one of the most unhealthy foods you can ever imagine. It has animal protein, unhealthy sugars, and it has fat. And animal protein is fluid to create cancer in humans. If you not believe me, check out Dr. Miguel Greger or check out Dr. Joe Manduko. In contrary with popular opinions, honey is absolutely no health food. The essence in bee vomit or honey actually is far more toxic for humans than cane sugar and other processed sugars.
When humans eat honey, it immediately begins to reabsorb moisture from the stomach and stomach floor. It destroys our symbiotic bacterial population wholesale. In humans, honey, more so than cane and beet sugar, is acid-forming and decalcifying. The body draws calcium from its teeth and bones, if necessary, to neutralize the acids introduced and formed. The mannite acid of honey is a protoplasmic poison. It interacts with protein, and from this forms alcohol, ammonia, and carbonic acid.
Is most likely one of the most greatest marketing schemes ever performed. Also, the cruelty that this practice also caused to bees are very complex creatures. Is terrifying, not the least. The bees only give honey when there is a bee queen present. So these beekeepers cut off the wings of the queen bee when she are right and buy them from an insect breeder also. So that the queen bee not can escape. Then one male bee is crushed and so that some of the keepers can take a little bit of the semen from the male bee, and that is then forcibly injected inside the queen bee. I want you, as you have mentioned, that somebody take your way of transportation away. That somebody cut your feet off so that you not can move. Take your hands, or take some of your fingers. How do you feel? They do that to you. Bees are also not stupid. They are on the top of their evolutionary tree. If a colony of bees find one bunch of delicious flowers, they do actually some dance. And in that dance, they actually tell the other bees of the colony in which direction the bees have find the delicious flowers that I want to make honey from, or as I first explained, bee vomit. They're reiterated, and then they're spit out, and when they're reiterated, then they're placed in their stomach for the beekeepers call it the bee stomach, but yeah, it is still stomach, no matter how you talk around it. And then they spit it out. So actually, your honey is bee vomit. Since you are not want to eat most likely the vomit of your husband or girlfriend or your wife, a large amount of the beekeepers, particularly the commercial beekeepers, kill up their hives for the winter for commercial reasons with gas. Why then eat the vomit of an insect? Seems pretty disgusting to me. And it seems to me like a fetish. A sick fetish of vomit. When darkness and light become one, the reality splinter away and the truth become visible. Stop eating honey of bees. And if you want to still eat something with the same structure and taste as honey, you can eat rice-based honey. That's honey made from rice, not from the stomach of a bee. Or you can eat Adarki nectar. I have some links in the description below if you want to check that out. Maybe some of the links in the description of the products you can all find in your supermarket. If you are a redneck, I'll say, who cares about the bees? We are the Town of Fruitings! And I have a new flash for you. If the bees disappear, the whole ecosystem collapses. If the pollinators disappear, like bees and butterflies. But if you take away the great mighty human, our species, any species on this whole planet will praise the virus that killed our species. It's not my opinion, it's a cold hard fact. We are the reason of the 6th mass extinction. So how can we claim that other species are destroying environments when we are the main reason that any year more than 1,000 species disappear? In older times, yes, there are some animals are dying over the years. Actually, 20 in a year. More than 1,000 species die this time and age. We are destroying our host, our mother, the planet Earth, by our selfish, elitist, first world Nazi lifestyle. My words are maybe harsh, controversial, even maybe to some of you. But people now consume meat, dairy, and eggs and honey are the main cost of this. Because 50% of all the food on the world harvested by people is fed to livestock, as a low conservative estimate. 51% of the greenhouse gas emissions come from animal husbandry or slavery. 91%, according to the World Bank, 91% of the rainforest is cut for animal husbandry or slavery. Around the world, there are something like 500 hypocrite nitrate feed dead zones. The main reason is because worldwide over 4 months of 4,000 trillion of shit is produced by all these animals that we enslave. Or I like to correct because I am not responsible for that because I don't consume those barbaric fronts. Body parts, secretions, vomit, hence periods, also comes. Meat, dairy, and eggs do not belong to you. The milk of one cow is made for her baby, just like breastfeeding of your species is made for your species baby. Just like you own meat is the only meat your body use when it's break off some of your organs and replace that by a process that's being called protein reabsorption. That's the reason. That's the place where you get most of your protein from. Technically, your own body cannibalized himself, and any something more every 3 months. I think it was every 3 months. You have a completely new liver. Other organs are also replacing it on sometimes. It's about not more a couple of years. Peace begins on the dinner table by what you eat on a daily basis. Go vegan. It's an excuse for costing the least amount of money. That's all on this planet.
So, do you like my video? Or do you think I'm crazy? Either way, it is fine, because I don't care. I don't care if you find me crazy or not. The only thing I know is that I am not the bad guy who harms innocent victim beings when it is not necessary. I prefer to eat fruit over carcass. I prefer to eat corn over carne. This is what I find despicable. And why? Now imagine that you are the victim. That you are turned into a commodity. That you are cut in pieces. That's the dilemma with many of us vegans have. We care about our family members to a certain degree, but We don't want to place our parents or our siblings or all on an unrealistic pedestal. Our parents are just also mortals. They are not better than us, and sometimes parents. Sorry that I have to say it, but sometimes your children are wrong, right, and you're must to slick up your own ego and admit that you are cannot be always wrong. I know many of you don't want to hear that you are wrong and that your society have programmed you into doing cruelty, but honestly, take yourself out the situation and watch it logically. How can you justify mass amount of horror? Like in Land of Hope and Glory from Animal Right, from Earthling.
When we think of UK farming, we imagine picturesque rolling hills of lush greenery and serenity, inhabited by peaceful, content farm animals roaming freely their entire lives outdoors.
How can you make excuses for this kind of cruelty? This is happening all around Europe. This happening in such things are happening in the UK and the USA, in Europe. Animals are enslaved in prisons, in small cages. The animal cruelty is not only in Yuan or in some
Pigs have been proven to be as intelligent and emotionally complex as dogs. But in the UK, we would never consider eating dogs, as we value them for their intelligence, personalities, and loyalty.
Because of societal indoctrination.
The sad reality is, the vast majority of the pork products sold in Britain come from these horrific factory farms. Most pigs are officially entitled to less than 1 square metre of space each, and the majority of sows or female breeding pigs are kept in farrowing crates. These were made illegal in several countries across Europe, but are still standard farming.
This makes me so sad to see. But I know I'm not responsible, but you are. You are the one that have to stand up for what being right. You are the one that can make a difference for those innocent pigs, those innocent chickens, those innocent cows.
But dairy calves are taken away from their mothers normally within 24 to 72 hours of birth. This is done in order for the farmer to ensure as much milk as possible can be acquired from the mother. This is an incredibly traumatic experience for both mother and child, and both will cry out for days. If the calf is female, she'll be separated from her mother and kept in solitary confinement with barely any room to move. Legally, she is only meant to be kept in these crates for 8 weeks. However, it has been documented on UK farms that the calves are kept in confinement for as long as 6 months. She will then face the same fate as her mother, being forcibly impregnated continuously so her udders can be pumped for milk that will be consumed by humans. The process of milking is grueling and relentless, as dairy cows have been modified to produce up to 10 times more milk than they would naturally. This overmilking causes diseases and infections like mastitis, a bacterial infection of the udder which affects around 30% of UK dairy cows. After around 4 to 6 years, and when the cow is too weak to continue, she is sent to be slaughtered, even though a cow's natural lifespan is around 25 years. There is a misconception that buying dairy means that cows don't have to die. However, all dairy cows are slaughtered, and each year around 150,000 cows are slaughtered while still pregnant.
If you watch my live stream, go check out Land of Hope and Glory of UK farming from Earthling Ed, and see what kind of horror you are responsible for when you eat animal body parts and secretions. Even if you are living in the so-called civilized Europe/England world, animals are massacred everywhere for an absolute and terrible justification. Taste. Imagine that somebody used used the justification to abuse you, enslave you, because they find it pleasurable to do that to you. Imagine that some rapist say to a lawyer, "Oh, a lawyer, or judge, I find it so pleasurable to do such way what I've done." That holds not up, I think. So why should it be holding up by other animal, pig and chicken and dog and cat or whatever? They don't want it. They want to be careful. They want to be happy. They want to be living what creatures they want in their life. And even with bees. Bees are one of the most smartest creatures. So when it comes to insects, they are not stupid. The propaganda is big. The lies are everywhere. People are being brainwashed, just like in the time of slavery. The time of slavery, people are brainwashed to believe that blacks were sub-creatures, how they can feel pain or can suffer. By the way, if you want to see that, I can show you. Because in Sir Hammond's letters on slavery, let I look if I can find that somewhere here. Let's look. That's good. I can find the link. But in the meantime, let me look a little bit more on Land and Hope and Glory.
If the calf is male, he will be of no use to the dairy industry and generally less suitable for beef production. This means that every year around 90,000 male dairy calves are shot soon after birth and discarded as a byproduct.
in what he does.
Male calves that are not shot will instead be raised for veal, either in the UK or in Europe, meaning that the calves have to endure long traumatic journeys as they are either exported out of the country to their deaths or to slaughterhouses here in the
Gandhi
UK.
of veganism, you can say. Indeed. You can be so calm and relaxed, even in front of the face of so much evil in this planet. I don't know how he does that. I think I will go on raid sometime. Will I do have to do street work? That's the reason I do YouTube videos about environmentalism.
The calves that are suitable to be raised for beef will be sold at livestock markets, an extremely stressful environment where the calves are auctioned off and then taken to cattle farms. Most calves raised in the UK have to endure painful mutilations, such as castration and disbudding. Disbudding is a procedure where a calf is restrained and has a hot iron rod forced onto the horn buds in order to prevent the horns from growing. Mother cows often suffer from crippling lameness and pressure sores. In fact, over 50% of dairy cows in the UK are affected by these painful injuries. And some cows are forced to wear chains called hobbles for months at a time. These devices are used on mother cows who have suffered pelvic damage during calving, a frequently documented problem for dairy cows who have been selectively bred to ensure maximum milk production. Dairy cows are often subjected to further abuse, with UK farmers documented kicking mother cows and beating and throwing newborn calves. Around 50% of UK beef comes from dairy cows, whilst the remainder comes from cattle reared for beef. In the UK, we are led to believe that dairy and beef cattle are allowed to roam freely outside. However, in almost all cattle farms, the cows are kept in housing for at least some part of the year, and in many cases, cows are raised in intensive farms, where they are denied access to the outside for their entire lives. When the cows have reached slaughter age, they are herded into trucks and trailers and are transported to their deaths. Once the cows arrive at the slaughterhouse, they are individually forced into the stun box where they panic and fight for their lives. Most cows are slaughtered by first being stunned with a captive bolt pistol before then being hung upside down and having their throats slit. It is estimated that between 5 to 10% of cattle are not stunned effectively, and will have to endure the experience of being shot repeatedly in the head or having their throat cut and their blood drained while still fully conscious.
Can you see? This is a part of hormoonsluiters omschrijver. Written part of this scumbags only works. Words of Hammond about the right held on his mast. That's right. Head was cut off. So amazing. Did it transfer through? Slave messages were extremely vile. Terrible indeed. But this is what happens when you eat animals, what you would just have seen in the video of Earthling ads. I will not stream it for 100%, so you have to check it out for yourself in whole version if you want to see it. This on Earthling ads channel. I don't want to steal his work and use it in plastering for 100%, since I don't think that it's fair to do. But using fragments, I think that is fair game. Yep. To the video. If you want to check out this document, it is one of, I think it is in my video about hominid and non-hominid or human slavery. If you search in my search button section on YouTube, you will find it. It's for, yes, dealing with family. Family can sometimes be very hard, specific if they are a bit stubborn, and specific also if family that you have, if you come out of a family that's very much enjoys being together. Specifically, if you are a true vegan, an ethical vegan, then it can be pretty hard. Specific if your family don't want to listen to your stuff. Specific if you come out some kind of family where the parents think, since they are older, they are knowing anything better than you. What is something that is very common in many cultures. The parents think there are no anything better, even if there are don't know anything better. Since that's what society wants to. That's how class systems work. But I see that I have all this video on Facebook, the fishing industry. I have to also call the fishing industry. So maybe we should also check a little bit out of my video about the fishing industry. Since I have called my video on Facebook as well. I have not already talked about this stuff on my Facebook. Yes, I have talked about it, but not in this. Oh. And I think since I have covered this on my YouTube, on my Facebook, I think I should also include it, even if it is not so much if I have done in another. But let's search for my video and I talk about it. So you can see.
Hello. My name is Grimtar Cigarette. Hit the bell and let you start. The collapsing of the fishing industries and the fish stocks or populations are starting since 1950. It is easy to see that this world will not sustain themselves with 7.8 billion marine and land animal eating primates. Now, it can sustain themselves if anybody was vegan, which since it is not the case. Since the 1950s, new technologies for fishing starting to be developed, which allowed fishermen to go into far bigger areas of the ocean and far deeper into the waters, and with more sufficiency catch larger amount of fish. If we look to the statics, often studies how research this kind of questions, you see that if you take in statics that since the 1950s and the 2001, the first year of the 21st century, around the half of the fish populations were declined. Today, only around 10% of the fish is not exploited. This is of a study of the FAO State of the Ocean Report 2014. That means that only 10% is not exploited, and that means that around 80% of the oceans are in some kind of exploitation since 2014. In the 1950s, also the populations of phytoplankton are starting to decline, which today only remaining around 50% of the phytoplankton populations of they were in the 50s. This is also because as we have decimated around 90% of all the cetaceans, whales, dolphins from the oceans since in the 20th century for nuclear weapons, because the whale oil in the head of the whale is largely used in machinery because it is highly heat resistant and it is therefore used in the production of nuclear bombs. So I was thinking, so people have killed one of the most important sea creatures for the environment and steal their oil to build weapons of mass destruction, and we claim we are intelligent. Think about it. But furthermore, in the 1960s, fisher slave traders developed more efficient, meaning more destructive, methods of catching larger amounts of fish with more stronger and powerful trawlers, along with radars and electric navigation systems and sonars, preserving the fish slave traders to terrorize the fish population with unparalleled success in terror. Canadian fish catch peaked by the end of the 70s and the early 80s. The new technologies affected in one very bad way the Nordic cod population in two significant, terrifying ways. First, the first way of terrorizing the endanger of the populations of the cod was because of that the new technologies helped to fish larger areas and in further deep and in larger amounts until the surviving fish cannot replenish themselves anymore. Second, the trawlers have a large amount of bycatch, and with the cut of the cod, also significant amount of economical, not so much important, but ecological, a very important fish as a bycatch. With the Nordic cod, there are also a significant amount of caviar, a very important prey species of the Nordic cod population. Furthermore, because of this, the transatlantic Nordic cod fisheries collapsed around the day of my birth, 1992. All industrialized fishing methods come with an extremely high amount of bycatch, with one study estimated only the amount of fish as bycatch in the Pacific Ocean by longliners. Longliners are large nets that drift in the ocean with a length of around 100 kilometers. The study found that around 4.4 million non-targeted marine animals were catched in these nets, with around some 3.3 million sharks, around 58,000 turtles, 77,000 albatrosses, around 20,000 dolphins and whales, and around 1 million marlins. Around 650,000 marine mammals, including whales, dolphins, and seals, are killed any year by marine vessels, fishing ships. Because of this, almost all fish products sold inside the United States are a violation of their own federal law, namely the Marine Mammal Protection Act, which is perfectly, or must I say, despicably not enforced for at least 40 years. With around 80% of all fish eaten in the United States coming from foreign sources. This means that the American fish industry have on large hands in the decimation of marine mammal populations, along with the violation of their own federal laws. It is estimated by my friends, other marine animal scientists, that we can have empty oceans in the year 2048. Furthermore, what about fish farms then? Fish farms, aquaculture, started and took off around the 1950s. Fish farms actually increased the amount of that is scattered out of the ocean. Why? First, fish farms modified marine animal habitats. Furthermore, the marine animals most people eat are predatory fish. That means large amount of fish have to go to these fish farms, which are the majority of the fish catched by fish slave vessels are being fed to fish salmon farms, caviar farms, along with pigs, chickens, and cows. Now, about speaking for your lifestyle to others. You're forcing actually cows to be carnivores or omnivores. Along with that, people are feeding bones of cows that are ground up into the food. So you make them carnivores or omnivores. Plus you make them cannibals. So ironically, from the 1950s onwards to the 2001, fish farms increased with around 38%, with around 1 million up to around 38 million tons. The US feeds any year more than 5.6 billion tons wild marine animals. So the animals they eat, with between 144 and 280 sea animals killed annually to feed the enslaved fish like shrimp and salmon around the world, consumed by the average American or Western or Eastern carnist. Keep in mind, so I have said before, around since the 1950s to the early 2012, fish populations decline with around 50%, where the amount of fish catched increased significantly. Like my hero Captain Paul Watson always say, we will not live here with an empty ocean. When the seas die, we die. Furthermore, this is absolutely true. Since around 70% of all the oxygen come from phytoplankton, the microorganisms we are killing by decimating the ocean's environment and symbiotic relationships. It is very much a fact that we will not live here with an empty ocean. Peace begins on the dinner table by a vegan meal. And until that day comes, I will let you look like dumb as a fuck. Because you don't deserve any respect when you are not being respectful to other living beings.
Think about what I've just said. Oh, people. And if you are a parent with a vegan child who how accidentally come across with this on this video and you are not vegan, think about all the stuff I've presented you just with. When you began about the honey and how cruel that is, of later on how cruel and how environmental unsustainable the animal agriculture is. By the way, I think I don't talk about this stuff in this video or show you a video about that when I was eating fruit. But animal agriculture is responsible for around something like 91% of all the deforestation, at least of the Amazon rainforest, and of that, speaking about that, actually, cattle ranching is responsible for 70%, exactly 70% of all the deforestation. Around 21% is feed for livestock animals and all the greenhouse gas emissions. And if you watch my videos, you know that there are studies about that as well. Since I have always studies for anything. Since I'm a mega nerd. I'm actually just good prepared in most cases. And therefore I don't look stupid. Most of the time. No, sometimes I can be MVP. Animal agriculture is responsible for 51% of the older graph got emissions back. So you can't see here. Is in a short sentence that is exactly 42.6 billion. But if you want to be more precisely, the greenhouse gas emissions is then 32.564 million tons. But you can, let's say both ways. And it is also at least. At least. So it can be more. And about other stuff, I have also links about that. My other videos will talk about climate-related issues. Because I'm not only vegan for the animals, but I'm also care about environmentalism. By the way, if you are not already subscribed to my channel, give this video a thumbs up and subscribe. Hit the bell so you don't miss any new video of me. By the way, let I just end this with a little bit more talk about dealing with family. So I said before, we watched my video on the ocean and their extremely detrimental impact on the extremely detrimental impact of the fishing industry on the ocean since 1950. Family can be very hard, specifically if you're caring about family ties and that kind of stuff. family can be very hard to deal with because you don't want to say too much, so you get scared away. And parents also have sometimes the idea that there needs to get respect from their children, even when they don't deserve that. Some parents think their children have to serve them instead of that there can be an equal exchange. There's a problem of the society. I think so. But if you have open mind parents like Pat of that being a lawyer, then that's then you will have no problem. If you have a bit more close-minded parents like my parents, I should think, and my sister, then it can be harder. But try always first before you decide to take uh, cut ties with your family if you don't want to listen in the beginning, because maybe they will listen, and you have to convince somebody to don't harm animals anymore. Somebody how you're most likely will see more than once in a year. At least that's with most people. I know how Gary Yourofsky handles that. He have never seen his family for a whole lot of years because there are delusional potentials weirdos how don't respect his rule from if you want to eat with me, you eat vegan. If you are don't want, then I see you later. One day he goes to his family and his family say that they're, he was thinking that they're all eat vegan because they go to a place where they have just vegan menus. But they're all eating things like burgers or cheese, all eating other shit. And one and nephew or an uncle of him, uh, I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, was eating vegan burger with cheese because anybody is hooked on cheese in the United States, even being linked with morphine, the antidote, and morphine, with its are in a kind of way because there's casomorphine in dairy, and also some true, not actually not casomorphines like substance in cheese. Check out the video of Dr. Gregor on the topic. Maybe if I have time to tomorrow, I will put that link in the description of this live stream. If you are interested, put in the comments or the chat. But I think one of the first thing you should do if you want to get respect and that your family respect your vegan lifestyle is to enforce Gary's first rule of eating with non-vegans, and that is, if you want to eat with me, you eat vegan. If you are not do, I see you later. And then also go see them later. I mean, don't sit there when they're eating animals. Don't allow people to sit down with you and eating animals. The abolitionist approach, I think, is this guy's very effective. Yes, it can scare some people off, but people like that let them. It is their problem. You are doing the right thing. You are challenging people to make more compassionate meals, be more creative with plants, and maybe they think, oh, this tastes also delicious, and they will try it out and eat less animal flesh. But like nothing, somebody eats with you when they're eating corpses or secretions. Try to talk about it calmly before, and don't scream, "Why? You're funny here! Go! I don't want to eat with you!" But say just where it stands for. Why you don't want to eat with them when they're eating corpses. So explain a bit about the dairy industry and how it lets you feel sad also, because it remembers you of the things that happen to mother cows on a dairy farm. And when you see they're eating cheese, you see the baby calf being stolen away from their mothers. Something I find very depressing. And maybe they don't care about the cows, but maybe they care about you enough that they don't want to harm the cow because you find it's depressing, and you find yourself depressed when you see people eating that. And so in that way they can maybe eat less animals, even if it is only if they're around you. That can also be a bit helpful, if you know what I mean. And if they are truly ignorant, if they are don't, if they're even not a little bit changed, if you are talk a year or maybe 2 years about the stuff, and they still are stubborn, they still are in that mindless robotic state, so I like to call it, where they think, oh, I am deserve to eat animals since anybody does it, or they say, oh, God had made it, and you should not process, you should not an improvement, kick them out of your life, because extremely toxic people like that drown your energy and turns you into an empty host. If you know what I mean. I know that's for some people hard to literally throw people out their life. But if um, family are truly toxic and truly don't want to change, truly don't want to see your point, and only think about how they feel and not about how the animals feel, even if you have shown them the Cambridge Declaration of Consciousness, which actually shows that animals are conscious and aware to the degree that we are claiming to be. But if they truly don't want to change even after that, I don't know what I have to say about that. How I then can convince people to don't be as cruel. I've no answers for anything, sadly enough. I wish I have. I wish I was a mecha computer that uh, can understand any question, can give you any questions and any answers on that questions. But I'm not. I know a lot, but not anything. Sadly. Sadly, I don't know. The Cambridge Declaration of Consciousness says actually that not only our species have the neurological, anatomical, and physiological traits to be conscious. So, tell me in the comments what you want that I talk about in my next live stream, or if you want that I talk about some stuff in more detail in my next live stream, what I've talked about in this live stream. And I see you then next time, I think so. The live stream will take long enough. And I think I don't know any topic anymore when I want to talk about. I think I don't have anything said. So, when darkness and light become one, the reality splintered away and the truth becomes visible. Bye bye, guys and girls.